The National Identification Authority is justifying why it crucially needs the $115 million Chinese loan facility. Chief Executive Officer Josiah Koba says his job will be on the chopping board if the public-private partnership with MIS Ghana fails to deliver new ID cards to Ghanaians. Critics are, however, still wondering when the NIA will account for sums of money for the previous registration exercise.
The NIA is here to serve the people of Ghana. By and large, we are a well-meaning group of employees, public servants who want to do our part to develop our country.
My name is Stephen Enti, and this is today's big story. Now, the NIA says it intends using the loan facility to produce new 120 kilobyte cards that will integrate and harmonize citizens' biodata and make it useful globally. Dr. Koba said the 50 million Ghanaians will receive the new card over a 9-month period. Let's hear him.
That Cote d'Ivoire has spent 350 million euros on a national identification system. In Nigeria, the system alone, equipment without operations, they've spent 290 million, and they found themselves in a situation similar to ours, where they have to go beyond the original system they bought and do something else because technology has changed. This is not cheap business. It is a business that involves investment. And when the numbers are being thrown around, it is important that we talk to the people who know what the system entails.
Well, critics cannot comprehend with the justification the NIA is giving for the loan facility, as it has not been able to account for sums of money pumped into the previous registration exercise. Now, civil society groups are questioning how much of the previous investment will be dovetailed into the $150 million facility from China. Let's quickly get onto the telephone line and speak to Franklin Kujo, who is president of Imani Ghana. Good evening, Franklin.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Now, you described the decision to start the re-registration as a scam and evil. Why?
Oh, I didn't describe the reason. I just said the entire exercise, the entire idea that we are going for some money in order to do something they are calling, whatever they are describing as a scam.
Okay.
First of all, they've wasted our time, wasted our money. We want to have a full audit of what exactly happened. There are a lot of records collected, and those records were badly kept, reasons for which they went the way they went. In any case, at some point, they told us that they were going to complete. What happened? That was when they began thinking about this scam. That was when they started. So let's not mince words at all. Why do you go for money to do something else? Why? Are you going to store pictures on the card? What is all this? Please, let's just not mince words. This whole thing is a waste of our time, waste of resources. Let's just please.
You sound a bit very disheartened and worried about the situation.
If we juxtapose these things with all the theft going on at NSS and everywhere that there's theft, what else do you want to say to this? Look, MasterCard and in Nigeria, people are doing things for far, far less. And they are doing things where they can synchronize, do other things as well. Why do we always try to create all kinds of things? Look at these rich.
So
same thing. The whole process, we're just forcing people to use cards. Why? Is it by force to own it?
Franklin, so what? I mean, are you saying that they don't need that much of money to do what they're going to do? Or you think that the money is not needed at all and they must account first for what they spent in the previous 6 years registration?
They should account for what they did for the first thing, because the amount we are talking about is nowhere near what they use for the first year. In any case, an identity is an identity. You don't need why? They claim that the thing will be 230 kb. Why? Are we going for a photo contest that people will put photos on a car? What's all this? Please. Oh.
Now, Franklin, it looks like the NIA is pretty confident that this $150 million loan is crucial to finishing the identification exercise.
Everybody is confident when they are engaging in illegality.
Right, but isn't their confidence telling you that it's time for you to perhaps back off?
No, it's a confidence because they still want to be brazen and continue because nobody cares in this town. Because nobody's calling. You are going for a loan for what? To collect identity when these things can be done by a simple app. People are doing things in this town. It's like naming streets and wasting everybody's time and money that they are trying naming streets. Now there's technology. You can use all these things for free. Speak to Herman Hesse, my friend. He will tell you that what the NIA wants to do now can be done for 0 cedi. What is this? Please. Let's look, my brother, let's not mince words at all. They should audit, we should know exactly what they did with the first registration. People wasted their lives and time. I still have my paper or whatever they call it, ID card. I will still have all those things. Are they telling us that it is wasteful? In any case, what kind of country is this that if he collects data, NHI is collecting one, if the police want to collect, everybody is collecting.
Right.
What kind of disorganized system is this? A small country, for God's sake. A simple app can solve these problems. Our problem is not identifying people. Our problem is about how to use money wisely and not
You are advocating for the president to order the NIA to stop this decision to go ahead with what it calls the expanded registration.
You know, I'm even fed up asking for such things because they never come. Look, when this matter broke first, you recall we even met the board. They couldn't even explain to us why they wanted to do this thing. That's about 2 years ago, I think. They only said, oh, it's a nice thing, we have to do it, Up to today, no justification has been given for this wanton destruction of state property and resources. They never did anything. So what's this business of telling us that you want to collect what? If a MasterCard was doing this, I'll be far more comfortable than this thing that is clearly a scam. Please, but let them give an account of what they did with all those cards. Master, are you not tired? Every day you wake up and you hear one scam or the another. I'm telling you, it's a scam. Whatever they say, it is a scam. Speak to the professionals. Speak to Franklin Asare of Oracle. He'll tell you how these things are done for less. Speak to General Hesse and all the clones he's created in this country. They can do these things for far, far less. We don't need photos, ID cards for photo contests.
Right, Franklin Kuja, we're grateful for your time. We know that you have to go, so we won't keep you holding for too long. Now, Joy News' reporter Eric Curtis Howard was at the press conference which was held today by the National Identification Authority. And prior to the press conference, some concerned staff of the NIA produced what they termed questions on the truth the NIA is hiding. I have one of that press statement. Eric Curtis Howard. I find it very difficult to call you Eric. I like to call you Curtis.
That's how everybody calls me.
So is it compound like Eric Curtis or Curtis Howard?
Seriously.
How are you, Eric?
I'm good. I'm good.
Now, tell me, I know that as a journalist, you've covered both. You covered the press conference, you covered the issue of the questions about the truth the NIA is hiding. What goes on in your mind with all of this?
Okay, for this particular this press statement, when we're entering into the premises of the NIA, we met some concerned staff, some nameless people. They wouldn't want to
put their names on record.
And they just gave us this press statement so that we should study it. Whatever questions that we want to go ask the executive secretary and officials of the NIA, we should look at their concerns and we should. And they brought some really, really, really very, very interesting issues inside this particular press statement. They mentioned one company, Mofus, that they talked about some equipment being stored at the ports. It mentioned so many other issues. inside this press conference. And when we spoke to the executive secretary, actually some of the journalists asked the executive secretary some of the questions in this particular press statement, and he addressed them one after.
Which of the questions stand out in your mind?
Okay, the one that stands out has to do with the vehicles and the air conditioning and the fact that there are some equipment that were supposed to be used for previous registrations, the previous registration that were not procured from the port and is still sitting there. And they asked
they're procuring new ones.
They're procuring new ones. So why not take those ones and use it for the new initiative you are coming to undertake, and instead of going to bring a whole new equipment and everything? And it was on and on and on and on.
Did they offer credible answers?
Okay, now that's what, when it came to the $150 million, the executive secretary said the monies that they're going to take, he mentions a number of things they're going to use the money for. He said the money is not going to be used for the registration.
Really?
He clarified that the money was not going to be used for the registration. He said that the private company, IMIS, are the ones responsible for the registration. They're the ones responsible for the registration. They're the ones responsible for the data collection. They're the ones responsible for the equipment failure, the backup, and everything. So it is their responsibility. Then we asked him, so is the company Father Christmas?
Yeah.
Are they going to do all this for free?
For free?
How are they going to recoup their money? Then the IMS chairman was there, and he said it's intellectual property rights. So when it is time as to how to recruit their money, he will not discuss it at that particular
It's none
platform.
of your business as journalists to ask those questions. These are very worrying.
Very worrying.
For you, especially when we had already gone through a series of registration. I mean, 6 years or so ago, my bio data was captured. Mine, my family's.
Okay.
We still don't have the cards.
Let me explain something here. Why, during the press conference, they were trying to explain this whole thing about the need for the new Ghana cards. Then they said that when the EC started the biometric data, they collected 10 fingers of every person, and they also took the ID cards and the picture as well. So now, but the NI were taking only 4 fingers, and they said technology has improved. That technology is outdated, so they need to come back to new technology. Now, with this new Ghana card that they'll be issuing, this is what they say. They are not going to only capture the 10 fingers, they are going to capture the iris of your eye, so that in places like the north, where people are farming and weeding and their fingerprints is lost, right? You can use the iris to detect that indeed this is Stevie Ansi or this is Eric Etisau, so that it wouldn't look like they went through a process.
Or if you're a construction worker, you do hard manual labor.
Then you will get this thing. And they also spoke about the card, and they said the card is going to be 120 kilobytes. Let me read something.
And that's what Franklin was very concerned about.
Let me read something. They said the memory will be segmented and issued to various institutions. So it's like 120 kilobytes. The NIA will take a part of the 120 kilobytes. So let's take if the NIA takes 20 kilobytes, it will be left with 100 kilobytes
for the national health insurance,
for the national health
insurance,
then
for your driving license,
for the driver's license,
your passport,
for the passport, for the electoral commission, for the bankers, anybody else who wants to. So it will be like, it's the answer to, that's how they put it, it's the answer to
global card,
the call for a synchronized national identification card that Ghanaians has been calling for in the country. Those were the ways of the...
I don't know, we're trying to get the National Identification Authority to answer some of the nagging questions that come after. I do hope that we can get Bertha Jebler, the PRO, but for God's sake, I mean, do we need that much to store simple data? Isn't your name just one? Eric Curtis Howard on your national health insurance card is the same name on your driver's license, will be the same on your NIA card. Why do you need a card which can store data from various banks, which is various places? I'm sorry, it's the same thing.
When we posed that question to the executive secretary, he spoke about the issue of criminality and the fact that it's easy to get a birth certificate, right? What he said was that if somebody wants a birth certificate, he just walks 3 days, he gets a birth certificate. But he believes that when this is synchronized and the national birth and death registry comes on board and everything, then it doesn't become that easy, because then you can't change your information, you can't change your data. Because if you apply for a passport and let's say that you apply for a visa to the US and you are bounced or you don't get the visa, you can go and use a different name
and a different birth
certificate, and
say you are back on track.
And so this time it is to check criminality in the system. That's why there's the need. That's what he says is the need for the new Ghana card. And he's saying that this card is kind of foolproof. You know, it's is robust, is strong, the security systems are intact, and he has so much confidence in the fact that it will like is the answer, you know, to the identification challenges we are having in this country. He has so much proof, so much confidence in the new cadre as the executive secretary. Not only him though, he and his other staff, and they were all for it. And the issue about the money was still there. It's still the issue.
It's very sad. Now we're trying to get the NIA back on the telephone lines to explain some of the nagging issues that are coming forward, and then we will also speak to the West African Network for Peace Building, WANEB, who feel that biodata information capturing Ghana lags behind in the continent for some of these challenges about data collection. I mean, we are lagging behind in data collection. So the question really we would like to put to them is, where does the NIA come in? We will get West African Network for Peace Building joining us on the line very shortly. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Well, welcome back. There are too many questions we have been trying to explore, which we're not getting the answers. Osei Kwame, who is the head of technology at the National Identification Authority, who agreed to speak to us, is not picking up now, and we're not able to get him. Also, like I said earlier, according to the West African Network for Peace Building, WANEM, Ghana is lagging behind as far as data collection is concerned. And we've been trying to reach Alimo Diallo from WANEM to tell us where the NIA comes in. We're trying to raise him, but we're not getting him, and I'm afraid we have to hang up and address this later. We'll be trying to explore various angles to this in our subsequent bulletins and try and get an interview with Chinwe Hesse, who is also an IT expert, to clarify some of these issues that have come up. We're grateful that you could make time for us on today's big story. We'll be right back with an interactive segment. Do stay.